Tene ta tarike kapsu hyujula jerdo tanda tari chungi den janso tela ye lam de som ye bena ne ta jerdo ye nelu korta tene ye nelu de ngand churbe ke cheto lam la zembe ke chul di nipo di hyusimbarela tene lam la zembe ke chul de la yang une ke ta che lam parul de simba truk la so pa la zembe ke chul ndabota tene te kendo tawa ta che pa gambe ke go ne lam la zembe ke chul da tingyen zen gambe kapsa la tene hine tong hwang tong ke go ne lam la zembe chul cheparjin mambo yebe na ne ta tanda ndi kapsula kasin chenpa tardo zawa teni yetawe tenla papa kap go ni lam la zembe ke chol di mato yin lam de la teni hine tong lang tong ke gomrim drabu tang teni te yin da paru da tsimba chu ke chepa la so pe kor te tanda misal ke song yo mare te yina ya zawa tawe ke teni tenla papa tawa tela tene Rangtong tong Shentong tomba ni ne lu tela sarwa yi hiji cha ye pa la ne cerdo tene nyamlin si pe kapta tingen zen gam pe kapta te na ne misal to song ho doji ti pi cerem to zorem gam pe kapso la tene sacha yi hiji cha te yepata sacha yi hiji cha te ngo rangin ki tomba yin pe korte tena papar nze pa yin pe cherna ta tige tawa tigin sena uma yentong pa si sol ne ta ti tawa ti sumbare.
What we have been talking about is the Ocean of Certainty, the Mountain Dharma, the Ocean of Certainty by Dolpopa, and that has the three main chapters of the ground, path, and result. And of those three main chapters, the first chapter on the ground, the chapter that teaches the way the ground is, the nature of the ground, and the second chapter that teaches how we make efforts at practicing that towards that ground. These we have completed the description of these. Now, when we are being diligent about the path, when we are making efforts at the path, there are many ways we can practice. We can do the conduct of the 6 paramitas. We can make efforts at practicing the view, meditation, and conduct, or we can practice the meditation of tranquility and insight meditation. And so there are many different practices that we can talk about. And among all of these different types of practices, here what is taught is primarily coming to understand the ground. Coming to understand the ground. The other types of practices have not been particularly taught here. The tranquility and insight meditation have not been particularly taught here, nor has the conduct of the 6 paramitas been really taught here. But really what we are doing here, or what we mean here by practicing the path, is coming to understand the view, coming to understand what the self-empty and other empty are, coming to understand that that there is the empty essence, but that empty essence has the aspect of clear wisdom to it. And so then when it comes time to practice, when it comes time to do samadhi, and in particular when it comes time to do the creation and completion phases of the secret mantra Vajrayana, it is very helpful to understand that there is the clear wisdom aspect that is present within us, and yet that its nature is empty. And so here, that is the view that we call by the name of Shentong.
Tene ta te yang kerdo tomba ni ten la papa kasala umeten chu ge nam to tene ta tanda tene jola jepa dorji singma singken da ta oman jupu ge nane ta yi jewa ko temba ta te yendo je umerik paten zo ten du tela ti toni to duzi ge ripaten zo ripat nembo sengeten to ni hi cheparji ji tuba teni perna uma jin la Rinpoche ke tera nang ne tene tik tutalchi rikpate, tene jazin log doje tabu, chamju log dungtung tabu, somne tene pe top chempo, tene upo tamji chasangwa, tene tongni gangdo, tok tupeke rikpat nambo, tene 단지 tingche komde chasang tongni tena pal tupeke rikpat ja chempo, top chempo, nupa chempo, ta tende yinpa la songyo wade la, tengune yinpa tardo, tene tuisom nang kapsula ngehi chepar chenchi tupa yore. Yore te yinayang tongni jongpa la gomdu, tene tongni la ngote peke taptang. Tongni ki tengdu nyambar yo peke tapte. Salchachi mena, tene ti tengdu nyambar yo hiya yo mare la. Tene teacher na uma yentong pe yentang yihi sondun yukpa sinki te pe kalchempo. Yihi jangpa yinaya yihi te la takpa tenpa terzuk kashi drup chewa nangin yuware te yinaya te ngo ten ta yetang talwe tongni ke yentang sondun yukpa je mato yen se na ngarang se du ta tongchal kogu yuware yihi se du sarchal kogu yuware ta te ni nyamdo yepa je mato te ni nyamdo me na tene yen nyamdo me pe yihi yina tene ta muti chongjin pe da tabla tong muti chongjin pe da tabla tong muti pe da tabla njurgi yuware se talwan pen nangri yuware la te tar tun njurgi yuware la tene yihi te dendrup chi namba yen kiawa me pe ngo ma yinpa je la tena pa na tenjuro ya yo mare la te yendo tene tomba tenya sarcha yihi chi cha me na tene pen tong nam ka da we je me pan rabo je lan rogi yo la tene teacher na yen da yihi song tun ju pe tawa ti ki yet tai ne ta ti tai do tene tanda tene tinghen zen gom ne tene tanda tinghen zen gom na tene pe chebar tong papa yung ge yore jitang ge tawa me pe tinghen zen gom ne yapo ngonche nyamne yapo yung sik re te yinaya tene tawa me pe gomba te tene tanda lodom trolan zik pandasam kashi tene kepa tamchi pe yo yo tawa yapo che me na gom jap na lapa me pa che trolan jargo na tene che madewa top me pa tene hidra yung yo la teacher na tene tawi tena papa te ngon lamda si tawa yina yanda jipa lamda si tawa yina yanda tawa te kalchimbu ye pa che tang tene ta ti ke tawi ke tena pap ne nyamle nang gu ge yore ma to nyamle nang ma to na hira pheng ma re la teacher na tene tawa me pe gomba me pe tawa yo chupo sinni jing ban ra sa song re la tene ti ke tawa yapo je to ten gom jap ma nu na tene pe na me chupo je la sen na chimpo je yo na kola longche yuware de tige tene korang longche de la longche ne deji nywa la kanya penge yo mare korang se ne chen ti longche de dapo jap mato kale ka de longche mato tene longche de la longche meni pandabo yung yuware la tene tato to gamba chungwa de sa chungchin chi nampong che panda sungwa re la tawa to gamba nika de yo na tene sa chung te namkala danyong ka sal hyopa ye pa yo re la hyopa yen ba yo re la tini kapka la ye len jor kapka la yen dun jor ne tini namki yen si jibo tang den por yo re la tini te tabo ta kal che gi re
When we come to understand emptiness through the teachings of the Middle Way, we're often first taught with the Vajra splinter argument, which talks about the refuting the four types of arising, or And so this and other logics of the middle way are very strong logics. They're strong, sharp logics that can really prove that there is emptiness. And by proving this, then we can really develop real certainty that there is emptiness. Of all the different logics of emptiness, according to Mipam Rinpoche in his commentary on the ornament of the middle way, the strongest, the best of them, the one that's like a vajra, like a weapon, like a spear that can destroy everything else is... So among all of the, so Mipam Rinpoche says that among all of the logics taught by the middle way, the logic of things, of phenomena being neither single nor multiple is the best of all the logics. It is the one that is like a vajra, it is like a weapon, it is like a spear that is able to destroy everything. It is able to destroy any clinging to things. And so we will be able to understand and realize that all things are emptiness. We will understand that everything in this entire world is empty. And so through that logic, we are able to, this is a very strong, a vast, a powerful logic. And so when we study this and other logics, then when we listen to and study these logics, then we are able to generate a real strong certainty in this. But if we do this and then when we come to meditate, if we only recognize the emptiness, if we only meditate upon the emptiness, then and do not have the clear part, then our meditation will not go well. We need to realize that there is the clear aspect. And so that is why it is so important to realize the union of the expanse and wisdom. And so if we only emphasize wisdom, then that is a difficult, then we might think that everything is permanent, everlasting, stable, and so forth. And we might think that there's some truly existent sort of thing. And so that's why it is important to emphasize that everything is free of the four extremes and eight elaborations, that it is empty. So it is, this wisdom is unified with the expanse. And when we say here the expanse, then we mean emptiness. And so it is important to understand that we have both the expanse, which is emptiness, and the clear part of wisdom, and that these two come together. And if we didn't have these two together, and we just thought that there was wisdom, then we would be like the non-Buddhists. We'd be like the non-Buddhist Samkhya school or the Vaibhashika school or any of the other various non-Buddhist schools that say that there is a self. And so we'd be thinking that the wisdom truly exists. But actually we need to realize that it is unified with the expanse, and the expanse has no arising, and its essence is empty. And so in this way, we need to realize that they both come together. And so, but on the other hand, if we just meditate upon emptiness and we think that we don't worry and we don't think about the clear aspect, then there's a danger that we'll think that everything is inanimate and just blank, like empty space. So here, this view of the union of the expanse and wisdom is like our ground, and it is on the basis of this that we then do our meditation. And if we meditate upon upon this, then our meditation will be quite wonderful. So here, this is something that a lot of the great masters of the past have talked about, and they have said that when we, excuse me, I got ahead of myself. So if we don't have the view and we practice meditation, then it is possible that we might be able to generate good practice. We might be able to recognize something. It is possible, but that might happen. But it is rather difficult. If you do not have the view and you meditate, it is rather difficult to come to any sort of an experience. This the masters of the past gave an example of this. It is like a person with no hands who is trying to scale a cliff. If you meditating without the view is like a person with no hands trying to scale a cliff. And so this person with no hands gets to the bottom of the cliff and is looking up, and he's got no hands, he's got no strength, and no way to pull himself out. And so it's important that we have the view. Whether this be the view of direct perception or whether it be the view of inference, it is very important that we do have this view. And so we have to come to understand the view, and then after understanding it, we can do the practice. If we do not practice, if we do not have the view when we practice, then it will probably not bring us much benefit. On the other hand, if someone has the view but does not meditate, they are like a stingy rich person or a rich miser. So the rich miser here has all sorts of wealth and everything that he needs, all the money that they need, but they aren't able to enjoy it because they're so stingy. They can't spend anything. They have everything, and they're so worried about taking care of all of their money and watching the stock ticker go. And they're so worried about watching all the money, about watching all their money. And they go through such difficulty about that they don't let themselves use it. They're too stingy to let themselves enjoy their money. And so in that way, having the view but no meditation is like a rich miser. So but if we have both the view and the meditation together, we will be able to soar into the sky like a Garuda. A Garuda is a type of bird from the Hindu and Buddhist scriptures, from the Indian scriptures. So we will be able to fly into the sky like the Garuda. We will have both the right wing and the left wing together. Sometimes we will flap the right wing more, sometimes the left wing more, but using both of them, we will be able to soar into the sky.
Tene ta tige lamji kor tene ta kap ner dev temparela. Tene dev temparela ya ta cherdo devus lam tela tene ta tartu dev de zobuson ji jam din de ji kompon toparela tene te ya tanda ta tikcherna kap ner dev leude temparela tene tela tipa chimbu dev chitang gata Tini te jepar hepa, ta tipa chimbuge drebu chitan hepa te la, tini ta te yang kamdar tongpo sundu te la, ndodi jingi nani song na, tini ta rang lam la zani, tartu kan drebu topa kapsula, Rinpoche ne kashewa tabo, tini te perna Rinpoche ne kashewa, tini Rinpoche kanga, be salvo tong yung ya pa yendal tini yendin ta range kawaji ni nyamsul long ben rebu de tini yendin tamji ta yihi ji cha tamji salvo njali yung yin ba junsin la tempa ta tini te yend jil la ma na ni song na ta zo rang la ye pe dewar hi bi nim bo de ngando jorne tini tartu kun rebu to ko ta tini song yin sare.
And so that was the teaching on the path, and now we have come to the teaching on the result. And so in this teaching on the result, having followed the path, we come to the ultimate result of the Buddhahood. And so that is why the teaching on the path is taught. Or excuse me, the teaching on the result is taught. And in the teaching on the result, we have two sections. We have the general teaching on the Mahayana result, and then an extensive explanation of that. And so first, in the general teaching on the result, or the overview of the result, first it talks about what it says in the ornament of the sutras, the Sutra Alankara by Maitreya. And this says that after we have worked at the path and we come to attain the result, then it is like opening a treasure chest. And when we open the treasure chest, all of the jewels and treasure within it can be clearly seen. Similarly, when we go through all the difficulties of having gone through all the difficulties of the path and then coming finally to the results of our practice, we see all of the qualities and all the wisdom. We see this all very clearly. And it's also talked about from the Julama, the Supreme Continuum. The Supreme Continuum says that when we attain the ultimate result, it is the Buddha nature that is within ourselves becoming manifest, and that is the ultimate result.
Tene ta teya te jebar heba tela tene rimba yendola Shentong wansarwe ku pusam soba heba Shentong wansarwe ihi pusam soba heba Shentong wansarwe yenten pusam soba heba Shentong wansarwe chenlen pusam soba heba tene hinkam pusam soba de ta rimba yendola songyo wadela de nane ta tangbo wansarwe ge ku tela ihi yeba 이히 때라 연den이야바 연den이야바 라틴 틀린중 그sol게 다제 이 대부섬 소바 중기야바다 된 대부섬 소바 연den된 좀 통나 된 나란서 가와도 쪼아지베게 치른다고 단단 다르도 그 대와도 버게 템바레라 되니 대나니 당보신 동원사를 급품섬 소바 해바데
That was the brief explanation, and then there's the brief overview, and then there's the extensive explanation. And this has an explanation of the wonderful, amazing bodies of the Buddha, an explanation of the wonderful, amazing wisdom of the Buddha, an explanation of the wonderful, amazing qualities of the Buddha, an explanation of the wonderful, amazing activity of the Buddha, and an explanation of the wonderful, amazing pure realms of the Buddha. These are all taught in order, and the first of these is the teaching on the amazing body of the Buddha. And then when we realize the amazing body of the Buddha, that has the wonderful, amazing wisdom as its essence. Because of the wonderful, amazing wisdom, the Buddha is able to has all the qualities, and then because of the qualities, the wonderful, amazing qualities, the Buddha is able to perform his wonderful, amazing activity, and that is how the amazing, excellent results of Buddhahood arise. And so it is when we can see all these qualities of the Buddha's bodies and wisdom and so forth, then we can become happy and excited and joyous about this. And then and so that is the reason why the ultimate result is taught here.
Tene ta tela yang ko tela ta jerdo tene jitang ke yewanda bota ta indana tembarela tene tenje ondo sena ko jeyo tene ta tela kunzo don tentambe demba niga ondo sena ko niyo tene ta tela yang ko somdo yewala soba ta tinde yorela ta te nani tombo ta sachi tambo tela tenje ondo sena ko jeide kandire sena tangbo ni yela yuba yihide senji tangji senji jela yabate tengandu churbate tene ta tanda ta tu ko jei tengandu churni yenten tong yihi pensong zuba njong tuba yore la ta te tige ya mangbo ndabo tende kanya meba tene ngo jige tsulji namba te la tene ko jige namba la yuba 다 테라 사진이 바데 뎀바 니지고니 예운데 테라 꾸니 세드 테라 다티 무 온드세나 찌바레데 이나요 뎀바 니지 온데 세데 테네 다 테라 테네 덴담 추지고도 군접 줍지고 숨기와달라 덴담 추지고 세나 테네 데워기 비님봉한데 저 tene ponza lobre jetama tongji tong talne ta tela jerdo ngaranzo tanda pejiki la sangje sinkinta ta tanda budala hibda journey sangje hibata tene body hibda journey changchob hibate ta je sen namba ni ndabo yore di na tanda chipare perna sang se di ponza lobre jetama tongji te pa jangne 매바지 제바디 상 장주고 온데스나 장파 장 되네 다 대견도 도지 이히데 상 다디 봉사디 봉발라데네 도지 이히데 콘도 집바텔라 제 메도 빼만다고 연된던지 제 상지고 온데스나 장주고 온데스나 연된던지 콘도 쳐 장주 세다데 단도 ponto 넘바 니다 덴베 연된던 덴바 데라 추지고 세와다 tene chu ji ko ti durza yenden duru ge chdola tene thok ge yenden ti changba ge ti durza la ten tu ge yo mare la zu ji ko number ten ba la zu ji ko tene longji zopu ko to tu ko number ten ba la tene zu ji ko si te mare.
And so the first section is the description of the wonderful, amazing bodies of the Buddha. And the body of the Buddha, it's often taught in terms of the different types of bodies of the Buddha. But in terms of the actual meaning, there is only one body or one kaya of the Buddha. If we then look at it in terms of the relative truth and the ultimate truth, then there are the two different bodies of the Buddha. Or you can also talk about three different bodies of the Buddha and so forth. So of all of these different types of bodies, the first section discusses that there in truth, or in actuality, there is one body of the Buddha. And what is this one body of the Buddha? This is the wisdom that, the ground wisdom that is present within all sentient beings from the very beginning, that becomes manifest. And when that becomes manifest, that is the one ultimate body, the final body that we receive. And that has all of the qualities and all of the wisdom, the excellent qualities and wisdom within it. And so this is the one body, in truth, in essence, the one body of the Buddha. But then, so that is the first section. Then the second section teaches that in terms of the two truths, there are the two different bodies. And so what are these two different bodies? Well, in terms of the two truths, there is the ultimate Dharma body and then the relative form bodies, or the ultimate Dharmakaya and relative Rupakaya in Sanskrit. And so the ultimate Dharma body is the Buddha nature, naturally present within all sentient beings, just becoming manifest when it is freed of all of the adventitious stains, or separated from adventitious stains. When we say the word for Buddha in Tibetan, we say Kagye, and so this means Buddha, and so it has two syllables, Kagye. Or when we say the word for enlightenment, Changchup, that also has two syllables. And in both of these, the first syllable means a similar thing. When we say Sang in Sangye or Buddha, when we say Sang, that means that after cleansing or after purifying all of the adventitious stains, they're no longer there. And the word Chang in the Changchup means the same thing. It means purified. And so that's the first syllable of both Sangye and Changchup, or both Buddha and enlightenment. Then the second second syllable is Gye in Sangye in Buddha. And so this is when the wisdom that we realize becomes fully developed. It's like a fully blossomed lotus flower. It opens, it expands, and so that's the second word. Gyepa means to expand or develop or blossom. And then in terms of the word for enlightenment, Changchup, the second syllable chup, likewise means to be fully developed, expanded, completed within that. And so both of these words indicate Sangye and Changchup. Both of these indicate both the complete abandonment and the complete realization of the Buddha. And that complete abandonment and the complete realization together is the Dharma body. But then the Buddha wishes to be able to benefit all other sentient beings who need to be tamed. But the qualities of the mind alone are not something that other beings can connect with. And so the Buddha then also displays the form bodies, and these are the enjoyment body and the emanation body, or in Sanskrit, the Sambhogakaya and the Nirmanakaya. And so these are the two form bodies, and these are what are called the form bodies.
Tene tateyang kusumje on the siena, tene tati sachi nipati dembani jong ku ni su yewa ta sachi sumba te dembani ji ko te yang ku som de yewa sum de tela tene durja la yang ta ti durjan durwi ge che du zub ji ko na ba tenge yewa la durjan durwi ge che du zub ji ko na ba temba te yang tene tanda durjan durwi ge che du zub ji ko temba te yang durja le ta pa tham ji jong la long chi zub ko tene long ko ni pa nga den se che tu jondo sala yu pichong chu semba chimbo nangla tambi chu chung kolo korne durja le ta patang chi chiten sepa longchi zo piko ta tini durja le mada patang chi ndolwe ke che dolan cho ko to ko te ta tanda tandan rabu chi na ngaran so te ta da cha ko temba sha cha tu bi ke tambi chu chung kolo korne tanda ti ge tambi chu chi temba te ne temba te ne ne ngaran so ke ti chu de la tangbo tu sam si bi ke ko ka bi pa che ta pardo te ni nyam ni si bi ko ka bi pa che ta tama de la te ne revo to bi ko ka bi pa te ta te ta bu ge durjan dolu ge che to sem ba chu ko to ko te ta sa ji ko sam je da ni tu so re.
In terms of the three bodies of the Buddha, the second section here talked about the division in terms of the two truths into two bodies, and then when you divide this into this can also be divided into the three bodies. And so, in order to tame sentient beings, in order to tame all the students, the Buddha displays the form bodies, and in displaying the form bodies, in order to be able to bring benefit to the students who have pure karma, then he displays the enjoyment body with the five certainties of the enjoyment body. And this is a body of the Buddha that can only be perceived by, or that is perceived by the pure bodhisattvas who reside on the bodhisattva levels. And then in order to bring benefit to all those students with impure karma, he displays the supreme emanation body. And so these days, there was the supreme emanation body of the Buddha Shakyamuni, who came to this world realm and turned the wheel of Dharma. After he turned the wheel of Dharma, the Dharma has remained, and because it has remained, we have had the opportunity to be able to listen to and to study the Dharma. We have the opportunity to practice the Dharma, and then we have the opportunity through our Dharma practice to be able to attain the ultimate result of the practice. And so that is the activity, or that is the supreme Dharma, the supreme emanation body. And so in this way, these are said to be the three bodies of the Buddha.
Tene ta te tabu ge ko tela ya ta cherdo tanda kapndar sun kapsula tene cherdo do ho thomo ni temba ta ta tene te na ne tene so ho doji ti thomo ma imba tene te so ho doji ti thomo ma imba tene gawa yeda tene gawa chuduk namba la yuba la so pa ta kapndar 사지 제버히에 받텔라 사지 넘버 쪼이고네 땡도.
And so in teaching the bodies in this way, here the bodies of the Buddha are taught in accordance with the general teachings of both the Sutra and the Tantras. But in the in the particular teachings of the secret mantra Vajrayana, there are more divisions of the Buddha. You can talk about the bodies of the 4 joys or of the 16 different joys. And so these are the other different bodies of the Buddha. And these are discussed in the following 10 sections.
Tene ta tege choga nani go gubaga nawa tene te luchita indo dewarhi binimbo te zawa ndabota ta songha je yege alkali namba to eom je namba la so pa luchita indo yerom je la ko namba ta doji ye nambala ko song tu doji hi de ye nambala tene lula yupu ke chol tende song yore.
Among these 10 sections, the 9th of these talks about how the Buddha nature is present within our body, or the root the root of these are present in our body in the Buddha nature. And this is discussed in terms of being the Sanskrit vowels and the Sanskrit consonants, the ali and kali, and then also the syllables evam. And so in this way, the aspects, this is how the aspects reside within the body. And so these are the aspect of the body, speech, and mind of the body. Kusuntuki namba.
Kusuntuk ihi.
Kusuntuk
Ihi doji.
And so these are the Vajra body, the Vajra speech, the Vajra mind, and Vajra wisdom that are present within the body.
Tene tateya jerdo sanji je kompong se du pe ngara chog chorwa la pe tharimbo dawoje nyamsu nyongge ware te yinaya ta ngara chog nguni songho doji te bichu nyamni che na te chamje tharimbo ma impa tene cheji luji ki sungju doji jong kompong top ju yepa tene cheji luji ki ta ngara chog zendu dong tene kalbatan tempa chawna zendu ta tepatan mugu kalbatan tempa chawna cheji luji ki sungju dojin chunga kompong top ju yopare te yinaya te ngaran su zendu tong kalba te tsam madeni cheji luji ki mathab naya ta te ngaran su chu nyamne chepin dewa tene pena laya me bandabo tene kadu yinaya yang tapa yongju yopa ndabo re la tene te yang perna ta ngama ka kasala san jepe ka ondo chena dacha ka tempa khacha tupa taba re songha doji tipe lang la tsemba taba che yina tanda jechen milare pa taba che pe kya na ta je tuto che par che mambo che pa re te yina yo nam tare yong su trapa ka ondo chena jechen milare pa taba che ta te tangbo susu jiu ke choli yinba susu jiu ke kapla tene kori jengyen bala tene to drup serap pap tene tela tene senji mambola nepa chal dipa migewa sa pa yinaya tela njepa chi pala tene tambi chula toga mupa to kupa chimpo chi tela tene zendu chimpo tsam tene drupa jab tene tela tene dipa migewa tene su jang ba tsam dayo masin tartu kandrevo lam nyam su long ne tartu kandrevo top ta tela zonchuru tong nge hila sopa chepar chi top ta tende yung ke lo ju tong nam tar ta ngaran su ngon sin jal ju ye batavre.
When we say Buddha, it seems like it's something that's really far away, a long way off. That's how we feel about it. That's the experience that we have of it. But in terms of the secret mantra of Vajrayana, it's actually not all that far away. It is said that we can accomplish Buddhahood in one body and in one lifetime. In one body and in one lifetime, we can accomplish the state of a unified Vajra holder. That means Buddha. And so here, in one lifetime, in one body, if we have enough diligence and we have the right fortune, if we have the right faith and interest and devotion and are diligent about it, we can attain it in this one lifetime and one body. But if we aren't quite like that, if we don't have that and aren't able to do that, then it's not like we're going to lose anything. It's not like we're going to be able to lose the result in any way. The practice will be good for us. It'll be helpful and be the right thing to do. And so here, if we think about this in terms of Buddhas, when we think about Buddhas, we usually think about our teacher, the sage of the Shakyas, Shakyamuni. But when we think about the secret mantra of Vajrayana, we often think about someone like Milarepa. Of course, Milarepa is like an example. There were many, many great practitioners of the secret mantra of Vajrayana, but the one who's kind of most famous is Milarepa. And so Milarepa is someone who started out as an ordinary individual. So at the beginning he was just an ordinary person, and then because of misfortune and bad things happening in his life. He had a lot of difficulties, and then he learned how to cast sorcery, and he cast spells. He made hailstorms fall, and through that he caused a lot of harm to many sentient beings. He harmed many sentient beings, and thus he committed a lot of misdeeds and non-virtue. And after doing that, then he began to regret that. And then when he regretted that, then he had true interest and true respect for the Dharma. And out of that true interest and respect, out of that devotion for the Dharma, he was then able to really be very diligent about it. And he was able to practice it. He was able to purify his misdeeds and obscurations. And then he was able to practice the correct path, or the true path. And then through doing this, he was able to develop all sorts of miraculous powers and clairvoyances, and attain the ultimate result in this one lifetime.
Tene ta tejendo jesi melari nam ta tabajela somtana ya ta tezomji jitang nam tartenzo yakpo tene tejendo tanda ngortenzo nyembo be yapo yorete yinaya rang luso la yane o tanga melari patabaji sin drapuk nang de tene soa sala ten tende kawachi guna te tsikali kabu yore la yore te yina yan ta chay to jetsi mala repa nangin ka kawachi matab na ya tene marpa loza wata marpa loza tabu je yina kongre jay tambi chu ki chetu la jagar to pe tambi chu sen te nyam su ye chor pe sanji ki tempa pel tene yomdang jeba sedang jeba tene tambi chu drub nyam ne nang ne tartu kundebu topa 대견도 예 검보바 다버지 나랍도 좀 담비주 냠스 예 코르로마 좀 델라테네 테네 랑단 푸섬 쏘바다 옌단 푸섬 쏘바 야부중아 다 텐데 용기요라 테네 데타르도 냠니 낭나 베 ngaransoge 제 나몽 텔라 산지지 쳔바레 생긴다고 마이바 테네 단다 ngaranso야 대다르도 롬냠스 린토바다 롬냠스 렘발라틴 드레부토토바다.
And so we can read the biography of Milarepa, and likewise we can read many other biographies, many other lives of these great practitioners. And sometimes when we read them, we think they're really wonderful. It's a great story. There are all these wonderful songs in the story, and they're really quite lovely to study. But then when we think about actually doing that with our own bodies, and think about going up into a high mountain retreat on a cliff someplace and eating only nettles and going through all those difficulties, well, it's a little bit hard, and we might think, oh, I can't do that. But actually, there's no reason to think that you have to absolutely do what Milarepa did. There are also with the example of Marpa, who developed a lot of faith in the Dharma, and he went to India, he listened to and studied the Dharma, he practiced the Dharma, and then he came back to Tibet and he spread the teachings, and at the same time he also had a wife. He had children, and he was able to practice and attain the ultimate result through all of this. Or we have the example of Gampopa. Gampopa was a fully renounced monk, and he was able to practice, he was able to guide his students and come to the perfect benefit for himself and bring perfect benefit to others. And so we can practice in any of these ways too. There are many, we can follow any of these examples, and if we are able to practice them, there's no need to say to himself, no need for us to say to ourselves, well, the Buddha is something that was way back in the past, something like that. There's no reason for us to say something like that. If we also then practice, then we also can practice like that. And if we do practice like that, we can also attain the same result.
Tene ta tetardo nyamli nang tupata tene tene jong tuparela tene teya tanda ngamu lo juinda bo maimba tanda la song tamaya tene mekhahi ke ngala jwadang do la tene dombe chu chu go ne rebu top de patinde ta ka bang hamo tinde jungwa de la danda gandi yore danda su yore 생긴다 보던데 저긴도 돼 이나야 단당 운에 당네 송로 땅나 단다야 다 단다 지당가 온듯이나 아 베도 송호도지 티비 주다를 가서라 줄루 쳔보 예 요래라 줄루 쳔보 예 우티 제버진 된조 라베 다 상지 응스 쳔바 당하랑 그 송로 땅나 기동 그자 나주 나글로랑 안서 자갈라 레페 값소 tene jagar ke yul tang te jendo jagar mayin be chejar ke yul ru ten zola song tang na tene cher tu sanji ke tempa te na ni mixal ko song ho doji tip tempa te palcher zero ndo rela tene ti yesu kon nambe gen zepa tang tene ke go ne sanji ke tempa te pel hundu tene ta 배 야쁘지 하나 산지기 때문에 니마 혀왔다 보지나 사실 니마 혀왔다 되나야 사실 닉반다 보지라 대 공남be 존트를 동행히 무슨 투제도 누바 제버진 예발라 때네 정화제다 당하랑기 싫어 현다 하고가 요 말에데 히비가 온듯이나 장원감마 바꾼티 주두바다 보지 있나 되네 콩 동보 자간 법이요도 패니 tene rang se gu no longche tenzola tusang ma yiba sanji ke tempa ta tambi chu pelwa khona la tusang yi ne te perdu tene zeba tang tene ta kande jachimbo jong te yendo ko yi na ya tan dan zeba tang tene jachimbo ya bo senji na pemba kande yungi yoba tenzo te na sanji ngusi chemba ta tende tongreba.
So we actually can practice in that way. We actually can have activity in that. And now, and it's not just something that happened before. It's something that actually can also happen now. This is something that sometimes students ask me about it, and they say, well, there's before there is all this great Dharma and all these great Buddhas, but what about these days? Is there anyone like that these days? And so, really, if we think about this in terms of, if we think about it in general, in Tibet there was the secret mantra Vajrayana, and then there are the four major lineages of this tradition, and the leaders of these four major traditions are really like Buddhas who have actually come to our world. If we think about it, in 1959, when they all had to leave Tibet and go to India, when they came to India in that country and also in all of the other foreign countries, if you think about the Buddhist teachings in general and about the secret mantra Vajrayana in particular, that was pretty much zero. And then because of their own deeds and activity, they were able to spread the Dharma, and it really has turned out very, very well. It's turned out wonderfully. And if you give an example for it, you could say it's just like the sun rising. That would be a very good example. It'd be good to say that. And so this is because of their own abilities, their own miraculous abilities, their clairvoyance and their compassion and their great power that they were able to do this. If we think about it in terms of course, what in many ways is closest to me, or what I know best, in terms of the 16th Gyalwang Karmapa, when he first came to India, then at that time he did not really think about his own food, his own clothing, his own necessities, or anything like that. What he did is he first began studying and contemplating the Buddha Dharma. And then through that, he was able to do wonderful activities and deeds that really helped spread the Buddha Dharma. And so if you think about this, this is really just like a Buddha. And so when we look at a being like this, it's just like we're really actually seeing a Buddha.
Tene ta tejan dong aranso song doje tipilu mainaya chulu yenda on the sena. Tene jana la tar tipa chimbu ki chuge on the sena tanda ta kasing ara 단다 오스트레일리아 제 말에 되네 디갑슬라 오스트레일리아라 되네 단다 다 전화 계획이니 쳔보 되네 신 마스터 생긴티게 줄라콘 넨텐세나 로이에 긴컴세그리 마지 로이 긴컴세킹게 줄라콘 틴잘 다 텐데세 비카솔 콩그 로주 남타텐존 잘 텐데세드 테니 티톤 고자 기주 헤고로라 콩 테완라 페페카소 테니 테완라 추 히라 요마레 줄라콘 요마레 겐딩게 요마레 마레테 콩 넘바테 페 운두텔라 테니 상지게 템바 제타 저 다르게 현라보다 되네 비나니 믹살토다 마 자말라 다르게 티바침부게 담비 주지 템바데 데 벨네 티게 남타르틴 잘운도 오 콘송지 우스 챵바다 버린도 가서
It's not just the secret mantra Vajrayana. If we also think about other traditions of the Dharma, for example, if we think about the tradition of the Mahayana Dharma in India, last month I had the opportunity to go to Australia. And when I went to Australia, I went to a temple that was built by the Shuyin master, the Nantian temple, which means the Southern Pure Land temple. And I had the opportunity to see this, and I had an opportunity to learn learn the life story of this master. And it turns out that in 1949, he was forced to flee from China, and he went to Taiwan. And he went to Taiwan, and he got there. There really wasn't much Dharma at all. There were no temples. There was no Sangha to speak of. But when he arrived there, he really did a lot of work to really benefit the teachings in general, and in particular to spread the teachings of the Mahayana that flourished in China. And so when you read the biography of a master like this, you think, wow, this really is a Buddha who appeared in the world.
테네 다 대답게 제바당 테네 자침부 예발라 테네 테네 공기 담배주 라 담배주 별 대견도 테네 다 단다 단다 대wen라 테네 공기 담배주 별와 좀돼 마지 테네 티 룸바티게 코라 선음서 히바 Longchenpa Senamsa Hepa. Tegendo Tambichu Drupne Nyamnichi Hepa. Tene Tate Pe Temba Pel. Te Teon Jamba Maimpa. Tene Sani Tak Koranga Namtarka Nam Yuarela. Tene Zambulenki Sani Yenda Dan Zamling Chanla. Tene Zula Kon Jadan Nishutamba Dabne. Tene Tela Sanji Temba Pelwa Yen Soma. 남탈 배여 버려라 되니 티처나 상지 이바다 정료와래 또
And so he has done a lot of activity to benefit the Dharma, and through this activity he's been able to teach the Dharma, he's been able to spread the Dharma. And similarly in Taiwan, it's not just that he spread the Dharma spread the Dharma in Taiwan, but in that country they really know how to accumulate merit. They know how to use their wealth to accumulate merit. They know how to practice the Dharma to attain results. And so all of this has really spread there. And this is not just Taiwan. If you look in his biography, you see that in many other countries throughout the entire expanse of the world, he has built over 120 temples, and through this way he has really spread the teachings of the Dharma. And so this is a really wonderful biography, and looking at it you think, boy, this really is a second Buddha.
Tene tanda tetardo tene ngaranzo tanda jitang tene nuso layon tetabuge tenzin ki jibu cheparchi yapo jentupa 당가라 시구도 삼바도.
And so all of us in the West also need to do things to be able to make masters like that here.
드네 다 대다도 상지지 거다. 드네 이희가 온듯이나 이희 넘방아. 아 이희데라 단드네 인디나도 제퍼 성요레데 이나양 다 가생가 가슬라 이희가 저도 제퍼 헤퍼라 드네 다 드린 미살 휴나 이희지 거데 양저도 헤반다고 젤레 베 갈치와나 만두 something 드네 드린 게 준tin 대섬 휴나 드네 거된살라 라니제
And so that is the teaching on the bodies of the Buddha. And then following that comes the discussion of the wisdoms of the Buddhas. Now, yesterday we talked about these. These are taught about extensively here, but yesterday we did talk about the 5 wisdoms in general. And so to go over this again and again in particular doesn't seem so important. So we will that will be enough for this morning. And now we will have the consecration of the statues.